Hello and welcome to another episode of Worlds Collide. I'm your host, Justin.
And I'm Mitch.
And this week we got Captain Marvel.
We do. Carol Danvers.
I was going to say, there's been more than one, so we better reiterate which one we're doing today.
Well, that's why I've been advertising. I haven't been really advertising Captain Marvel. More so, I've been advertising Carol Danvers.
And that's more appropriate.
Yes, because Carol Danvers herself has quite the history.
Yes.
As well as the name Captain Marvel itself has a lot of history. And that would have to be another episode entirely. But since the movie is more Carol Danvers centered, and most people watching right now are more familiar with Carol Danvers versus Marvel and Phyllisville and all the other Captain Marvels, our focus is going to be on Carol Danvers.
Which is only natural. So, to give her the credit that she's due, what would be the most recent things that we've seen her in? Her own standalone movie?
Yeah.
And actually, I think more recently than that, we saw her in the
Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, the finale of Endgame.
Yeah, where she is a complete badass.
Yeah, she was pretty great in the movie, although she wasn't supposed to be there in the comic. In terms of the culmination of the...
Well, she might have been there, but she wasn't anywhere near as important.
She wasn't a pivotal role.
She wasn't that powerful at the time.
No. So there's been some changes.
Yes.
Alright, so
Many changes.
We're... At you.
He's got the coronavirus.
Corona sneezes. Help. Alright, I think we're safe. So where does that lead us to start with Carol Danvers? Because as far as the Marvel character and Captain Marvel go, they are what originated the character, are they not?
Yeah, so let's start off with her origin a little bit to cover where she started. Just give me a second, I get my notes here. So her first appearance was in Marvel Superheroes number 13 in 1968. So when her first appearance, it was actually in pretty much the introduction of Captain Marvel himself. Or Marvel, I should say, himself.
Yeah.
So going into Marvel's origin a little bit, what happened is that he is a Kree agent who came to Earth. He was originally supposed to come to Earth to spy on Earth to make sure that it's inhabitable for the Kree Empire. And then he eventually betrayed the Kree Empire and for the humanity. He saw the value of humanity and how good humanity is, and decides he's going to fight for humanity rather than for the Kree Empire.
Yeah, so he flips sides a little bit and decides, you know what? I'm not going to do what you sent me to do.
Yeah. So while he was on Earth, he was fighting this other Kree warrior, which I believe is the same Kree warrior that Carol Danvers fights in the movie.
I believe so.
They're
played by Jude Law?
Pardon? Yeah, Jude Law's character.
Okay.
I didn't write down his name, but...
Irrelevant.
Yeah.
But the same guy.
Yeah. So Marvel was fighting this Kree guy, and in the midst of this battle, a jet flies in between them, saving Marvel. Turns out in this jet is Dr. Waller Lawson was in his jet. And Dr. Walter Lawson is a human military scientist who specializes in rockets. So a rocket scientist.
Yep.
And Lawson ends up dying as a result of all this, and then that's where Marvel took the identity of Dr. Lawson.
And stayed on Earth to keep fighting as one of his protectors.
That's right.
Okay.
So, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is because when he took the personality of Dr. Lawson was on his way to this military base. I think it's Cape Canaveral or something like that. Doesn't matter.
Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So he was on his way there. So Marvel, to continue the identity of Lawson, went to Cape Canaveral, and this is where he meets Carol Danvers. And Carol Danvers is a member of the U.S. Air Force, but more importantly, she is actually the security chief of the restricted military base.
So she runs the place.
She's in charge, exactly.
Ah, okay.
So, and that ties to her publication history as well. So now that I've introduced that idea, I'm going to jump to her publication history a little bit.
Okay.
So when she was first introduced, She was Carol Danvers was introduced during the second wave feminist movement in the 60s. So the second wave feminist movement started in like the early 60s. It started fading off in the mid 70s and whatnot. But this was at the height of the second wave feminist movement, where women were trying to take the power, take their own power to start fighting for equality, equal
through the workplace, and votes, and
equal pay, equal work, and ability to vote and whatnot.
Oh, we got there. Oh, KG Rose, thanks for the subscription. 8 months going strong.
Whoop, whoop. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
So
they were getting their ability to vote. They were getting just better wages.
That's right.
More free level job ability.
That's right. So in comes Carol Danvers. So Marvel was a little bit behind. Marvel was always ahead of its competition when it came to like races and whatnot with Black Panther and all that. They were really progressive when it came to opening up the comic world to different races other than the white supremacy. But they were behind when it comes to sexual equal rights. DC was ahead on that because they had
Wonder Woman
a good 20 years before Captain Marvel.
Black Canary.
Black Canary as well. Yeah. So DC already had some really strong female heroes. Marvel had the Invisible Woman.
I was going to say, that's all I can think of at that era.
And Jean Grey.
They did have Jean. Okay.
Yeah, but Jean was just a damsel in distress the entire time.
She was useless.
Pretty much. And I don't think the Invisible Woman was that powerful at that time either.
No. Really.
So Marvel was really not progressing when it came to like sexual equality.
No, well, like all the women they were portraying were all psychic.
Yes,
they were all feeble-bodied, strong-minded, strong-willed people,
and the majority of them are all subservient as well.
Yeah, they all have to come with a partner of some sort or another. They are a standalone.
Exactly. So in comes Carol Danvers.
She don't need nobody.
She is a woman of power because she is in charge of a military base. Yeah. She is a woman of authority. She is a beautiful and intelligent woman. So when they brought her in, she is a representation of the times that we're in the 60s, the second wave feminist movement. She is a representation of female empowerment. The unfortunate thing is that even though she had a strong start, Marvel started dropping the ball on her.
What did they do?
So eventually she starts...
hey, thanks for visiting. Come here, bud.
Yes. I should have came and say hi to you.
We gotta keep you upstairs. You're not allowed down here. Okay, lay down. Lay down. Okay, shut up.
So eventually, even though she started off strong, Marvel started delegating her back to traditional female roles, where she started to have a romantic relation. She started to have a crush on Captain Marvel, and
oh really?
Yes, yeah. And she started becoming, and she was always getting rescued by Captain Marvel, and so even though she started off very strong, Marvel started delegating her back to being just a run-of-the-mill female, so she was no longer that representation of female.
She didn't stand out anymore.
She didn't.
Way to burn out there quick.
Exactly.
Now, comics, not just Marvel, they seem to have a history of starting strong, or starting slow, and then they flip.
Yeah.
So like they tend to bounce back throughout the ages. Yeah. Through our bronze, silver, golden age. So I don't like that they did that, but I'm glad that they fixed it.
Yeah. Another example of her independence, her female independence, her female strength is that when Lawson or Marvel as Lawson show up at the military base, something didn't seem right. So she took it upon herself to start investigating on Lawson, seeing what's wrong with him. Something's not right with him. At that time, in those times, a typical female character would end up bringing her suspicions to like a male superior and have that male superior investigate these things. But Carol Danvers took her suspicions to herself and started to investigate things on her own.
Took the initiative, took the onus, said, "I don't need another person to do this. I'm good enough."
Exactly. Which led to her starting to fall in love with Mar-Vell.
By investigating it and finding out more than she should.
Exactly. She ends up idolizing him. He becomes Captain Marvel, the character, the superhero, started becoming her hero. And then to a point where when Captain Marvel was fighting against another Kree warrior, I think it was the same Kree warrior, and he was trying to use going back to her origins, he ends up using the Psych Magnetron, I think it's called. One second, let me go back to origins here. The Psych Magnetron.
Which is one of the machines.
Yeah, it's a Kree machine that has the ability to bring your deepest, darkest wishes to life.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So this during the fight between Captain Marvel and the Kree, this device ends up blowing up, and the explosion ends up encapsulating. Carol got caught in the explosion.
Yeah,
of this
encompassed her and the two fighting, did it not?
That's right. Yeah. So her original origin was that this explosion, combined with her deepest, darkest desire to be a hero just like Captain Marvel, ended up fusing her DNA with Kree DNA, making her a human Kree hybrid, giving her special powers. And that was her origin.
They retconned that in later years, though.
More recently, they have retconned that.
Yeah.
Sort of. So, but let's keep going through her origins, her publication origins.
Follow the timeline out here.
That's right. So this happened in the 60s, and then she actually disappeared, and you don't actually see her again until 1977.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you don't actually see her until 1977 when she shows up in Miss Marvel issue number 1 in 1977. So now Carol Danvers is Miss Marvel, but she doesn't know she's Miss Marvel. At night, while she's sleeping, a second persona, the Miss Marvel persona, takes over, and she goes out and fights crime.
Really? That's how they originally had it?
Yeah. Eventually, she finds out that she is Miss Marvel, but for maybe the first few issues, she had no idea. It wasn't like a long-lived thing, but when she first started out, she didn't know she was Miss Marvel. It was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing.
I like it, but I don't.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Oh no, that's not weird. We haven't touched weird yet.
All right, bring it on.
Okay, so. So the Miss Marvel was first written by Jerry Conway, but then was later taken over by Chris Claremont. And the reason why I mention that is because Chris Claremont is rapidly becoming one of my favorite writers.
Yeah, what other things does he do?
Chris Claremont was the one who was responsible for the Phoenix Saga, for making Jean Grey more of a relevant character.
Right.
He was also the one who made Daredevil a more relevant character as well.
Okay.
He was the one who was responsible for the death of Jerry Conway was the one responsible for the death of, or was it Chris Claremont? One of those two was responsible for the death of Gwen Stacy as well.
Oh.
So this writing team is a really important writing team.
Yeah, they've set off a lot of pivotal moments in the universes that have carried forward into later expanses.
Yeah. Most of the good stories of X-Men was Chris Claremont.
Okay, because he did, X-Men Evolution? Or when did he take over?
Like he's the one who introduced the idea of, he's the one who made Jean Grey more of a relevant character, made her less of a Serbian character, did the whole entire Dark Phoenix saga.
Right.
And he's the one who introduced like the second tier of X-Men, and he's the one who revitalized, he brought life into the dead franchise of the X-Men, because they were dead at the time.
I'm glad they stayed alive, because X-Men are probably one of my favorite groupings of comic book characters.
And you have Chris Claremont to thank for that.
Thank you, sir.
And pretty much you could thank him for Carol Danvers as well.
Thank you again.
Yeah. Because, so here's where things go to shit.
Okay.
So she becomes Miss Marvel. She has her own series. It's not very popular, mainly because her costume, even her name, it's all based off of Captain Marvel. Like, she idolizes Captain Marvel. Her costume looks exactly like Captain Marvel. It's a female version of Captain Marvel. So she's just a female clone of Captain Marvel as far as readers are concerned.
Yeah.
Makes her not less appealing. She's not unique. People aren't interested in seeing a knockoff of Captain Marvel. If they're going to read a knockoff of Captain Marvel, they're going to read Captain Marvel. So the fact that they made her a female version of Captain Marvel, it's like Supergirl and Batgirl. They're not going to sell as well because they are just a female clone of their male counterparts. Yeah. They're not an individual.
No, and they had to get rid of Captain Marvel to make her an individual.
Sort of, yeah. Yeah. So Captain Marvel's death, I'm not going to talk about Captain Marvel's death because we're going to do an episode on Marvel because he is an important character.
Yep.
But yeah, they do end up killing him off.
Yeah, and when they finally do that, I feel like she finally stepped on stage to take. Mm-hmm. No,
not even close.
Well, they've really changed her many times, but it gave her more of a solo.
Oh no, she
it took the spotlight more to her rather than her having to share it once he died.
Sort of. Like, she didn't get the spotlight until 2005.
No, not until the most recent issues where they brought her back to life.
Until House of M.
Yeah.
Until House of M, she remained irrelevant, really.
Yeah, because she was another clone.
Yeah, well, even when she was part of the Avengers, like she ends up joining the Avengers, and even as the Avengers, she's just like a background character, no real focus to her until the I'm pretty sure it is the most controversial story that Marvel has ever produced.
The House of M.
No, not House of M. Way before House of M.
Which one?
It was Avengers. Oh. Avengers issue number 200 in 1980.
They did something special with 200. What did they do?
So in this is the story of when Carol Danvers is now all of a sudden pregnant and giving birth. So nobody knows how. Nobody knows when she got pregnant or how she came to full term and is now giving birth to a child. So what happened was she was actually kidnapped by Marcus, by a character named Marcus, who is actually the son of an old Avengers villain, Immortus. Immortus is just an alternate future version of Kang the Conqueror. And Kang the Conqueror is a time traveler. So Immortus is also a time traveler.
Okay.
And Immortus was trapped in limbo. And while Immortus was trapped in limbo, he ends up finding a woman, impregnating her, and she gave birth to Marcus. So, and then eventually Marcus grew up in limbo. Because he can't live outside of limbo. Because if he lives outside of limbo, his genetic time will rapidly increase so fast that he'll just turn to dust.
Okay.
So he can't live in our timeline. So he has to stay in limbo.
Because time passes slower.
That's right. So what he ends up doing is that because he was getting bored in limbo. So what he did is he kidnaps Carol Danvers. He uses a combination of his father Immortus's technology plus his own powers that have been handed down to him to manipulate her, to trick her into falling in love with him. And then they have sex. He impregnates her, and then he sends her back to the real time so she could give birth to his own child. The reason why this is very controversial is because somebody ended up writing a essay on this story and she called it "The Rape of Carol Danvers," because essentially what happened is this guy drugged her into having sex with him, and then impregnates her, and then sends her on her merry way. He raped her.
Yep. Yeah, that would be controversial.
Yeah.
And that would be something new in comics. Because
yeah.
I don't think that they'd ever before written something quite like that.
No. So,
it's been some fucked up stuff.
It gets worse.
Uh-oh.
So, she gives birth to this child. And this child, because it's the son of Marcus and the grandson of Immortus, ends up growing old fast. And he ends up growing into another Marcus. So, and Marcus impregnated Carol Danvers, and she gave birth to another Marcus. Like I said, we haven't touched weird yet.
Oh, Here goes the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah. So he ends up before dying, he needed to go back into limbo, and he ends up taking Carol Danvers with him.
The son.
But, the son.
Marcus 2.
That's right.
Marcus 2.
Yeah, brings her back into limbo with him, and he used his powers, magic, or whatnot to convince the Avengers that they were actually lovers, and so the Avengers didn't even stop this from happening. They let this happen. Yeah.
And Carol's is like, no.
Well, no. She he with his magic, she wanted this as well.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So after this essay, there was a lot of backlash to this story, and this was Chris Claremont took over and pretty much doing damage control because
trying to pick up all the pieces.
Yeah. So the story now says that Marcus ends up dying of old age, and Carol ends up making her way back to Earth. And then,
there was no rape that ever took place.
No. The rape still happened.
Oh,
the rape still happened, but what happened is that when she came back to Earth, this is when Rogue ends up going after Captain Marvel and stealing her powers and her memories permanently. Yeah.
So they retcon the rape by stealing her memory of it.
That's right, and her powers. And then now Rogue has to struggle with those memories plus those powers. And then, but Professor Xavier ends up using his powers to get her memories back.
Yeah, to ease her mind and kind of quell the trauma.
Well, quell the trauma, but also help her remember what happened.
Oh, so she could deal with it rather than just being like, I know something bad happened, but I just don't know what.
Yeah. So and then she went back to the Avengers and with anger to let them know, hey, fuckheads. You know when you guys just left me go with Marcus? Yeah, that wasn't on my own free will.
He had me...
He tricked all of yous.
Yeah, and me.
Yeah. So she ends up leaving the Avengers because they're all useless.
Pissed. Yeah, she's like, I needed you guys. We're supposed to be a team. Fucking let me go.
Yeah. Yeah. So she left the Avengers and she ends up joining the X-Men.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Even with Rogue pissed at her, having her powers?
Well, Rogue wasn't part of the X-Men at the time.
Oh, so does she have any powers at this point when she joins the X-Men?
No.
Why the hell do they want her?
Because she is still a trained military officer.
She's a mascot now.
Well, yeah. And because she's a wounded, lost little puppy, pretty much.
Yeah.
So anyways, she ends up hanging out with the X-Men, and then she goes with them on one of their space battles where they were up against the Brood.
Oh, shit.
Which, for people who don't know who the Brood are, they're essentially Marvel's version of the aliens. They're just a hive mind aliens. Or more precisely, the Brood are like, if anybody has ever played StarCraft,
Zerg.
They're more like the Zerg. Yeah.
Or like Starship Troopers?
Yeah. Actually.
Big brain beetles.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure they have like the aliens' triple mouths.
Oh,
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, and they have like the weird big
like
bug-like scythe legs, and yeah, it's like an amalgamation of aliens and the Brood and the aliens from Starship Troopers. It's like an amalgamation of all that. That's the Brood.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ugly little bastards.
Yeah. So the Brood ends up fighting the X-Men. And well, in this story, the Brood ends up kidnapping Carol Danvers because she has that unique physiology of being half human, half Kree.
Right.
And they used one of their technology on her, which granted her godlike powers, turning her into binary.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's how she became binary.
That's right. Yeah, through Brood technology. So now she has the ability to tap into the power of a white hole, which I'm not exactly sure what a white hole is supposed to be, but essentially a black hole.
So she can tap into the power of a white hole.
Yes. So
I thought she had the power of a white dwarf star.
No, a white hole.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I wrote down powers. So going back to when she was as Miss Marvel, Her powers were superhuman strength, endurance, stamina, and physical durability.
Flight?
No. She did not have flight. She did have flight, but it was from her suit, not an actual power.
Oh, so she could fly, but it wasn't innate.
That's right. That's right.
Suit gets damaged, she loses her flight. Okay, I see.
She also has a limited precognitive seventh sense, so kind of like Spider-Man's spider sense.
A tingle?
Yeah. Yeah, she has a precognitive sense to warn her of danger and whatnot.
That's her women's intuition.
Yes.
Never serves me wrong.
And she's also resistant to most poisons and toxins. But
That's
then,
handy.
But then as binary, so then she loses those powers and now she becomes binary. So now as binary, she now has the ability to tap into a white hole, which gives her full control and manipulation of stellar energies. Which means she has complete control over heat, electromagnetism, and gravity.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty strong.
Yeah. She also has the ability to travel at light speeds and survive in a vacuum of space.
That's why she's always flying through space.
That's right. And she also has the ability to absorb energy and then project it back as photonic in a photonic form.
Blasters.
Yeah. So when you see her in the movie blasting, and she even says it's photonic, that's from her binary days. She got that from when she became binary.
Now, who do we visually see in the movie? Because did we see the visual of Binary or Captain Marvel?
When she goes, so throughout most of the movie, she is Miss Marvel.
Okay, Miss Marvel.
She is Miss Marvel. And then near the end, when she is captured by the Kree, and she's talking to the Supreme Intelligence, and then she realizes that she's been fighting with one arm tied behind her back and destroys the inhibitor in the back of her neck, and she goes all glowy and kicks everybody's ass. That's when she went binary. That's binary.
Okay. And then who do we see? She comes back essentially as Captain Marvel in Endgame?
Yeah.
Or is that binary still?
Well,
It's
Captain
like
Marvel,
a mix of the two.
Mix of the two, really. And really, that's really what Captain Marvel is. So she became binary and then goes back to Earth. She's now still a member of the X-Men. But then something happens. The Kree sends a negabomb to Earth. That the negabomb, what it does is that it explodes with antimatter particles. It's an antimatter bomb. So Carol, to protect Earth, to protect the Earth's sun from the negabomb, she ends up using her powers to protect the Earth's sun from the negabomb, from the antimatter explosion. But the force of using that took away her powers. Like she ends up draining all of her powers. She no longer has the ability to tap into a white hole. She still retains the ability to absorb energy and redirect it as photon. Still has the ability to flight and survive in a vacuum of space. I don't know if she still can fly at the speed of light. And she doesn't have the ability to control
gravity and whatnot.
Gravity and electromagnetic spectrum.
Super speed, super strength, I mean, sorry.
She still has super strength and endurability and whatnot.
So she got nerfed.
Yes, she got nerfed.
She didn't get everything taken away, but she got nerfed.
And that's more of the Captain Marvel we got in the movies.
Right.
Because I don't think in the Captain Marvel in the movies had the ability to control gravity either.
Probably not. That sounds too strong.
Yeah.
Way too strong.
Yeah.
I'm just going to turn it way up and have you just not move.
Yeah.
Don't move. Just stay.
Yeah. Or just turn gravity right off and now you're flowing right into space.
Yeah, it's like, well, we came to attack Earth and we just keep getting repelled by gravity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would that even work? You just reverse the gravity on Earth so it pushes everyone away. I think it would push all of the planet away, though.
Well, she has complete control over it, and I'm pretty sure she could localize the effect.
Localize it just for the outer atmosphere?
Yeah.
As you're entering past the clouds, it's just like a little push out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's keeping you in.
Yeah. Everything just starts floating.
It's like a one woman fight machine against,
pretty much,
the salvation of Earth.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Binary is super strong.
Yes.
Where would she fall, like, on the spectrum? Of,
power levels?
Power levels.
When she's as binary...
Yeah. She's pretty up there.
Thor level power. Even her nerfed version, she's on par with Thor. So as binary, at binary, she's probably more powerful than Thor.
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, but I was like, no, Doctor Strange is more powerful than her, even as binary. She's more powerful than Apocalypse, but I don't know if she's more powerful than Thanos. Maybe Thanos / Silver Surfer level power is where she would be at.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty strong.
Yeah. And then after she gets nerfed, she becomes more Thor level power.
Pretty strong still.
Still really strong.
Still really strong.
Yeah.
We'd say Thor probably sits in like the 80th percentile.
Yeah.
Where most of those other guys are like 90. Yeah. 95s.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, after this, she ends up leaving the X-Men and ends up joining the Avengers again.
And then what do they do as the Avengers?
So,
because at what point in the Avenger team is this with?
This is still in the 90s.
Okay, so the old school team.
That's right. Yeah. So, and she's once again delegated to being a minor character. She's still at this point here. She's still a minor character. She's still not a big seller, and she's still not.
She's not gonna be versus like the people that she has in running. No. The other Avengers, like those are big hit characters. They've been walking on their own two legs for many, many years.
Well, to be honest with you, even the Avengers wasn't a big seller in the 90s.
No, but the characters were probably more substantiated. They were probably able to, like I said, stand on their own 2 feet without just being clones of other people.
Yes. Okay, so where were we?
At this point, brings us up mid-90s.
Loses a great deal of power, rejoins the Avengers. Oh, so when she rejoins the Avengers, she rejoins the Avengers, but under the name Warbird.
Oh, this is where she changed her name just for a little bit. And then when do we get the other, the black pilot who comes in? I forget her name.
Oh, Monica Rambeau.
Monica Rambeau. Does she not take over as Captain Marvel at some point?
I think she did become Captain Marvel at one point, but...
It was prior to this timeline, I believe.
Yeah, but Monica Rambeau is best friends with Carol Danvers as well.
Yeah, and that was just something I wanted to state, because we did see her in the movie.
Yes, but not her best friend.
No, she wasn't. She was just another pilot.
No, like her best friend. But notice, her best friend's name wasn't Monica. The daughter's name was Monica.
Oh, right.
So, and this took place in the 90s. So now it's 20 years later. So that little girl is now in her 20s. So we're gonna have a adult Monica Rambeau.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I did not realize that at the time. I've only seen Captain Marvel once, so I'd have to rewatch. I think you watched it earlier.
I watched it earlier today.
Okay, so fresh in his mind, he's good. He's
yeah,
good. But that'll be good. That'll be good to see what happens in the next one because they are flashing her forward 20 years. Because I remember, like in her standalone, she falls into the blockbuster.
Yeah,
she's not alone. You know, she's 20 years old.
Yes. Yeah,
that'll be interesting.
Yeah,
because they're gonna bring her up to the current timeline where we saw her in the Avengers movies.
Yes.
Because when we saw snippets of her
after the snap,
right,
or as they said in Spider-Man Far From Home, after the blip.
The blip.
Yeah, post blip.
Post blip.
Yes.
We'll see what happens. I'm interested to see what happens when she comes back for because it's a standalone movie. The next one with Captain Marvel.
I believe so. I haven't heard anything about the Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah, I'd have to look more into that again to know what's happening with the next one coming out.
I know about Black Panther. I know about Doctor Strange. I know about Black Widow's coming out soon.
Yep.
I know about. I don't know much about the next Captain Marvel movie. I'm honest.
I don't know if it's pair up. I don't know who the villain is. There's a lot we have to look into.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have those updates for next week's episode.
Maybe they'll, there's a lot that they could go into.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, so she rejoins the Avengers as Warbird. And then pretty much nothing significant happens until House of M.
And in House of M is the big storyline.
Yes.
No more mutants.
Yes. So we're going to do... We keep on saying we're going to do an episode on the House of M, and we keep on saying we should do an event. I think we should do an episode on House of M because so many stories that we've gone over references to House of M.
A lot of the characters we've talked about over season 1 and now into season 2, we're 10 episodes into season 2, by the way. A lot of these characters are highly tied into this.
Yes.
Major event.
Yes.
Scarlet Witch, Magneto.
Yep.
Cyclops.
Yep.
Jean Grey.
Yep. Carol Danvers. Spider-Man was also very heavily tied in House of M.
Yeah, many of the characters we've done already. Yeah. We should probably do that event.
Yeah. So in House of M, once again, we'll go over House of M real quick. House of M, Scarlet Witch goes crazy. She ends up creating an alternate universe where instead of mutants being a minority, mutants become the majority, and humans, the non-mutants, are now the minority. And Carol Danvers now all of a sudden, instead of being a B or C-list hero, she is now the most famous superhero in the House of M story. So in this world that Scarlet Witch created, because Scarlet Witch was best friends with Carol Danvers, they had became really close friends when Carol Danvers was part of the Avengers. So, and since Scarlet Witch is the one who fabricated this reality, in this reality she made her best friend Carol Danvers, and because she knew that Carol Danvers is more of a hero than she herself gives herself credit for. So when Scarlet Witch created this universe, this reality, she made it so that Carol Danvers she is the Superman of this reality. She is the most famous, the most powerful superhero on Earth.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good to have friends in high places.
Yeah. So when House of M got wrapped up, when everything got brought back to normal, and Scarlet Witch says the famous line of "No more mutants," her essential snap, reducing the Earth's mutant population down to
190 something.
190 or
197 or something.
Something like that. Reduced it down to its 10% of its population. Really got rid of 90% of the mutant population is what it was. So brought everything back to normal. But when they brought everything back to normal, the readers themselves, they really enjoyed seeing this empowered Miss Marvel, this empowered Carol Danvers, this badass Carol Danvers. So
they keep her that way.
Yeah. So they did. So they brought Carol Danvers back, but this time she's now back as Miss Marvel. And they also brought back Simon Williams as well, which is Wonder Man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he was always a side character as well, but they made him more of a prominent character after House of M as well. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, Carol and Simon ends up starting a relationship together.
Oh, okay. So no wonder they keep them as heavy hitters.
Yeah. So, but anyways, this was a start of so when she came back and she became a member of the new Avengers. Yep. This is pretty much the start of the Carol Danvers that we know in the movies. Because up until this point here, the Carol Danvers that we've talked about, nobody actually read her comics. She was not a seller at all. She was such a minor player. But this point here, this is the pivotal point where Carol Danvers went from a minor player to a major Marvel character.
Yeah, she gained fame.
Yeah.
She gained popularity. She now had the credentials to swing with the heavy hitters.
Yeah. Not only in the realm of the kayfabe of Marvel, but like amongst the readers as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so Civil War happened after that, and Civil War, Carol Danvers was was the second biggest supporter of the registration. So it was Iron Man and Carol Danvers pretty much. Carol Danvers was Iron Man's biggest supporter in Civil War after Spider-Man ends up betraying their side, because first Spider-Man was Iron Man's biggest supporter. He even revealed who he was on live television in support of the Registration Act. But when he realized,
killed, isn't it?
No, Ant-Man gets killed later on.
Oh, okay.
But still, when Peter realizes his mistake, that he chose the wrong side and he betrays Iron Man's side, Carol Danvers pretty much is the most prolific superhero that's on Iron Man's side.
Mm-hmm. And so they're obviously for, people registering. Yes. People coming forward, revealing who their identities are.
Yes. And I've said this in other episodes, but I'll say it again. I was on Team Iron Man for that story. I think Iron Man was correct in that story.
That they should all be accounted for. They should all say who they are.
Yeah, it makes sense. And
how does it keep them safe, them and their friends and family?
Well, okay, so we're going to go on a tangent here about Civil War.
Tangent.
So in Civil War, what happened was there was an explosion. So there was villains at in a building. They were conferencing, and then there was this team called the New Warriors.
Yeah.
And the New Warriors, they were trying to make themselves as internet reality stars. So they filmed their superhero shenanigans as like a Twitch video or a YouTube video.
They're live stream superheroes.
That's right. So they went and instead of casing the place, instead of figuring out who was in there, because they didn't know what villains are in there, they just went in there and for the ratings went to go fight these villains. Well, amongst these villains was a guy named Nitro, who is somebody who was experimented by the Kree. He was his powers is that he was taken apart down to his atomic structure by the Kree and then put back together and given the powers to make any part of his body explode. Like he could cut off a piece of his finger and throw it, and that's like the equivalent of a grenade, and his finger will regrow. So any part of his body is explosive, and then he just regrows it. So you can't really kill Nitro. So when the New Warriors attacked, Nitro just made himself explode. And the resulting explosion took out like 3 blocks. Well, within this 3 blocks was a school populated by kids. So because of this untrained team, these kids, they're trying to play superhero, going fight these villains. If they hadn't, Nitro wouldn't have exploded, and these kids would not have died because of the actions of this team.
Action reactions, the chain event that just kept going. Right?
Exactly. Also, put yourself in the shoes of people that live in the world of Marvel Comics. Every time Spider-Man is fighting the Rhino, every time Iron Man is fighting the Mandarin, every time Captain America is fighting the Serpent Society, Thor is fighting the Absorbing Man, Hulk is fighting the Abomination. The collateral damage that happens every time these fights happen is astronomical.
It's like tsunamis hitting over and over. It's like tornadoes tearing through your town, dancing around.
That's just it. Like, eventually you're going to be scared to walk out on the streets because in fear of a super battle that's going to happen where an electrical post is going to get knocked into your head, or
an atomic bomb is going to blow up in the vicinity of the city, and it's just someone triggering their powers.
Or you get infected by some kind of alien virus, or your house gets destroyed because somebody flew right through it. So, I mean, like, as a civilian, I would want registration too, because there's no accountability the way it is. So that's why I was Iron Man's side. I think Iron Man's side made a lot of fucking sense.
Now, how do you bring in the argument of villains in a registration?
Well, see, that's where Iron Man was going the wrong route. And that's where a lot of people will say, like, Iron Man was wrong, because Iron Man started employing villains that were... So, as long as people were registering, then they are on the side of the law. So, Iron Man was employing these villains to go and round up heroes and villains that were not registering. And that's where the moral low ground of Iron Man took in this side of the Civil War.
Well, even the sense that, yeah, you can convince all the heroes and all the, good guys to register, but no one can convince the bad guys.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, even though some did, what do you do about the ones that don't? Say you get all the good guys to register.
Yeah.
You just made an easy Christmas hit list for the bad guys.
Well, the bad guys pretty much were forced into registration.
How so?
Well, because they're already in jail.
The ones that weren't, I mean.
Well, yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
It's like you got a bunch of guys out here just planning hit lists.
Yeah. Well, that's why Iron Man formed the Thunderbolts. Iron Man formed the Thunderbolts, which is a team of pretty much a Suicide Squad. It's a team of villains.
Led by, who is it, Green Goblin?
No, not at this point. At this point here, it was led by Baron Zemo.
Oh, okay. And we've seen him in the Captain America movies and
the Civil
Age
War.
of Ultron.
He was in Civil War. He's the one who instigated Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyways, yeah, Baron Zemo was in charge of the Thunderbolts, and the Thunderbolts were a group of villains that were tasked to go and capture heroes and villains that weren't registering.
Yeah, I'm sure they weren't very nice to the heroes.
No, they weren't.
They show up and probably just shit kick the hero and say, we're the good guys now. You're bad.
They are on the side of the law.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where you play into a lot of like, is this right?
Yeah.
Is this wrong?
Yeah. So
Some
Iron Man
gray
didn't. And there's a lot of things Iron Man didn't do right. Like when he created the clone of Thor. Because Thor wasn't involved in the Civil War at all. I think Thor was dead at the time. And then Iron Man created a clone of Thor so that they could have the vision of a god picking Iron Man's side, until this clone of Thor ends up killing Lang. Scott Lang.
Ant-Man.
Scott Lang, yeah. This clone of Thor ends up killing Scott Lang. And that was a big, big turning point in Civil War.
Why did that happen? I never knew that Iron Man cloned a Thor.
Yeah.
Or that Thor then killed Scott Lang.
Yeah.
Why did this all happen?
Well, just because Iron Man was desperate to win his side of the war.
More so, why did he kill Scott Lang?
Because this clone of Thor was not a good clone of Thor.
Oh, he was a bad clone.
Well, he was an insane clone.
Nice.
Yeah. Named Ragnarok. Which is why when the movie Ragnarok came out, I thought it was going to be about the clone of Thor, but it had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, now I'm getting timelines confused here.
Yeah.
We just got Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
There is a Thor who's named Ragnarok.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. Needless to say, when the real Thor came back, he was really pissed at Iron Man for creating the clone.
You think?
Yeah. It was actually
What do you
Iron
mean
Man.
you cloned me?
It was actually Iron Man and Reed Richards combined who made the clone of Thor.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with either of them, I bet.
No, he wasn't. Anyways, tangent, because we're supposed to be talking about Carol Danvers. You asked about Civil War. So.
I did.
But anyways, Carol Danvers was on Iron Man's side for Civil War.
Okay.
So, other events happened after that. You had the secret invasion with the Skrulls and
I think that's where we're going next in the MCU timeline.
Phase 4, yeah, probably.
I believe it's the Skrull invasion.
Yeah.
Based on what did we see? The end of the last movie where Nick Fury is on the Skrull ship, is he not?
No, yeah, I think he was on the sword ship actually, and while he's on the sword ship, you had the Skrulls impersonating as Nick Fury, but that's not the same thing. Nick Fury is aware that they're impersonating him. The secret invasion, people weren't aware they were being replaced by Skrulls.
Oh, okay. Because which one of the Avengers was a Skrull?
Well, the first one that got revealed to be a Skrull was Elektra. Elektra. Right. Yeah. She was the first one to be revealed to be a Skrull. But there's a lot that were replaced by Skrulls. Captain America was a Skrull, and I don't remember who else was a Skrull, but there was, yeah.
They really got digged in deep, huh?
Oh yeah, it was a big event. And then Siege happened, and Fearless happened. A bunch of different events happened. Carol Danvers took part in all of these. I'm not going to go over each one of these events because
there's a lot,
and she wasn't a major player. Well, she was a major player in all of them, but like she wasn't a focus player in all of these. So it's not worth me going over.
No.
But the next thing that is worth going over is an all new, all different.
Oh, then we get cool stuff.
Yeah. So in All New, All Different, so this was after the Secret Wars, and where the timelines got reset. This is Marvel's reboot.
Yep.
So now Carol Danvers this is where Carol Danvers takes on the mantle of Captain Marvel. It
wasn't until then?
It wasn't until then.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It took a long time.
Yeah. Well, sort of. During House of M, Carol Danvers was Captain Marvel. So the first time she had the name Captain Marvel was during the House of M event.
Okay, so when that got retconned, she went back to her old roots, and then when they knew 52, they're like, yeah, that sounded good.
Well, all new, all different, but essentially, yeah, New 52.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is where she finally took on the name Captain Marvel.
Okay.
So she took on the Captain Marvel name because Captain America actually brought it up to her and say, we need a Captain Marvel, and I can't think of anybody better to take on the name than you. And Carol has always been she didn't want to be Captain Marvel because of the legacy. She didn't want to tarnish the legacy that Marvel left for everybody because he was an important character for a lot of people in the Marvel world. So she didn't want that mantle on her. But after talking to Captain Marvel, Captain America, and talking to Spider-Man, and talking to like a whole bunch of these different heroes, she convinced her to take on the name of Captain Marvel.
Cool.
Yeah.
Suited.
Yeah.
Better suited.
Yeah. Turns out, while I was doing my research today, I found out that her and Spider-Man started a relationship.
When?
In All New, All Different.
No. So this is after Mary Jane.
Yeah. Mary Jane is...
Prior or after Gwen?
No. This is like in 2000s. Like 2010. Too, like,
so after
very,
Gwen,
very recent.
After Gwen, after everyone.
Yeah. So, and I don't think they actually dated or anything like that. But
there's a big age difference between those two, isn't there?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Like, well, maybe, because like when Spider-Man started off as a superhero, he was like 16 years old, and when in the same timeline, so Spider-Man started off in 1962, and he was like 16 years old. Carol Danvers got her introduction in 1967, and she's already in charge of her own military base. So, if anything, I would say by 1967, I think Peter was in college. So maybe Peter was like
5 years on him.
Yeah, maybe about 5 years older than him.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not that bad.
Not that bad?
No.
Not that bad?
No. But anyways, so they butted heads at first.
Peter and Carol?
Yeah, but as they teamed up more and more, and he started warming on her, and she ends up developing a crush on him.
Mm.
So I don't know if they actually dated, but
they had a little fling.
But they did. They became close. They became good friends.
That's good.
Yeah.
And so that brings us. That's not New 52. That's All New, All Different.
That's right. New 52 is DC.
Right.
All New, All Different. Marvel is Marvel.
Those were both along the same
idea,
lines, right? Okay.
Yeah, same idea. This is Marvel's reboot. DC has rebooted 3 times in the span of Marvel doing only one reboot.
And DC's about to do another one, I believe.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Well, like we mentioned on the other episode, we might get Marvel DC crossovers in the coming future.
Maybe even amalgamation of DC and Marvel.
We might get one universe.
Yeah.
Which is world breaking.
Yeah.
Universe shattering.
Yeah. I don't think they'll actually fuse the 2 worlds because
that's a lot of work.
Well, it's not even a lot of work, but like, it's characters are going to suffer because I mean, like, Superman makes a lot of superheroes in the Marvel universe irrelevant. And so what do? Like, do you make Superman more powerful than all your prime guys, or do you nerf Superman because now he's now the second potato to your main characters? Because
who's your main character in the Marvel universe?
Well, yeah, I mean, Iron Man, Thor, Spider-Man. So do you nerf Superman so he's not as good as them, or
no? You just have it so the Marvel universe is littered with fucking kryptonite, just everywhere. No, kryptonite everywhere.
I think the smartest thing for that is to not amalgamate them. It's just Disney owns DC as well as Marvel, so they can do crossovers from time to time, but keep them in their own separate universes, their own separate stories. I think is the best way to do it. Like Marvel, just like WWE and WWE creating its own rivalry between Raw and SmackDown. You have to have that rivalry to create
push for more,
create creativity. Push for creativity. If you have no rivalry, if there's no competition,
stagnant.
It's a loss of creativity.
Yeah, it will eventually just kind of peter out.
Yeah,
like they're gonna write themselves into too many corners if they fuse the universes.
Yeah,
versus have it be that characters that make sense intertwine.
Yeah,
right. Anyone with reality changing powers or parallel universe shifting powers or time travel or space travel or anyone who can breach that perimeter between universes, let them carry over.
Yeah.
Don't have everyone carry over just cause. Make it make sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But so in All New, All Different, this is where they did a little bit of retcon on Carol's origin. So now it turns out that Carol's mom was Kree the entire time. So Carol was actually born a human Kree hybrid. It was not the explosion of this psych magnetron that gave her powers.
No wish machine.
Well, so that wish machine, that psych magnetron, the explosion still happened. They didn't retcon the events that happened. It just turns out that the explosion of the psych magnetron didn't give her powers, just
triggered,
awoken her powers.
Yeah.
And then when the Brood did their experimentation on her, it once again didn't give her the powers of binary. It woken her powers, her binary powers.
So they're all deep cellular structures that were just innate.
That's right.
That became.
That's right. That's right. So the retcon is saying that Carol Danvers actually had these powers from the beginning.
She was just a Saiyan.
Yeah.
She went Super Saiyan 1. She went Super Saiyan 2.
Yeah.
Someday she'll get blue hair.
Yeah. Yeah. So another big thing that's really important to talk about is that Carol Danvers' importance in Civil War II.
What happened there?
So Carol Danvers is actually the direct catalyst to Civil War II. Because Carol Danvers becomes in charge of this team that ends up using this Inhuman. His name is Ulysses. And Ulysses has the ability to see into the future, to tell who is going to commit a crime before they actually commit that crime. So Carol Danvers' team uses this Inhuman Ulysses to profile criminals before they have a chance to commit the crimes, and then she arrests them, just like Minority Report.
I was going to say, it's just Minority Report.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and in this Civil War, it's Iron Man who's taken the morality stand against Carol Danvers.
Being like, they didn't do it yet. You got to give them the reason, the benefit of the doubt. They didn't do it yet.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but they're gonna.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
But I do.
Isn't it better to prevent the deaths rather than avenging people after they've been killed?
That's not our name. We're the Avengers, stupid.
That's exactly how I said it. It's like, isn't it better to prevent the deaths instead of avenging them after their deaths?
Well, yeah. But we're not the preventers. We're the Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah. Which means you're reactive. Not proactive.
Which is a really shitty stance for a superhero to take.
It is.
Really stupid. Like, the whole concept of the Avengers is a fail.
Yeah. It means you've already failed. You are reactive.
Versus the Justice League, they are proactive.
Now Justice League is also reactive as well.
But they're established for proactive reasons. They're just very slow at always responding, considering they have such technology and high brain power.
No, I mean, like, even in the name. Like, because they bring justice.
Oh, I guess
so
for
that
justice, there has to be injustice.
That's right.
Oh, God.
So they're reactive as well.
Well, they got Flash at least, right?
So anyway, I just wanted to mention that before the end of the episode, just because that's an important factor of Carol Danvers, and possible spoilers for any future movies as well.
That might be your next movie. She's running around just rounding up people before they've done crimes, which then leads into Civil War II.
Yeah, possibility.
But Iron Man's dead.
Yes, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because like Civil War didn't have half a third of the characters that were actually involved in Civil War. Peter Parker didn't reveal his identity in the Civil War movie because it had nothing to do with that.
Could this be our introduction to Iron Doom?
Maybe. Well, first he introduced Doom, so no.
I know. I was taking leaps there.
Yeah, no.
Well, now that Iron Man's dead, they got to bring back, computer program Iron Man and have Doom come take over Iron Man. No.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
So let's talk about the movie for a little bit. What was your opinion on the movie?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought the beginning was a little slow.
Yeah.
But then when she finally, like you said, stopped fighting with one arm behind her back, it got really good.
Yeah.
it's tough to judge this movie because it was such a like
an establishing movie. And
it
it's
was
set in the 90s.
It was set in the past. It was in the 90s. 2, it was establishing the character.
Yes.
3, it was trying to break down all the whole gender role orientation of superheroes have to be men.
Yes.
Because I think this was our first female standalone that we've even gotten.
Yes.
Well, aside from Elektra, but
Wonder Woman was before Captain Marvel, wasn't she?
DC though, I mean. Marvel. First Marvel standalone.
Yes. And Elektra doesn't count.
No, Elektra doesn't count. Wonder Woman can hold her own.
Yes.
Right? Captain Marvel, like you said, she was an unknown.
Yes. In
the whole Marvel universe, even for comic readers.
Yes.
Like, even for people who've watched the movies, watched the cartoons, I didn't know who the fuck Captain Marvel was.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's that? I've heard of them, but I don't know who they are. Like, can they be a big enough character that they enter the big screen, and then there's more. We want more. Rather than, another one-off, don't do that again. That was shit.
Yeah.
Right? Because she's scheduled for, I think, 5 movies in total. We've seen her in 2 so far. So she's got 3 more coming. Another Avengers at least, and I think 2 more standalones.
And I'm hoping in the next one she actually... So here's my opinion on Brie Larson so far. She was okay in the Captain Marvel movie, and you barely saw her in Endgame, so I don't really have an opinion on her from Endgame. So, but I'm hoping she's like Chris Evans, because I wasn't convinced on Chris Evans as Captain America
Winter Soldier
in the first movie. It wasn't until Winter Soldier that I was convinced that he was Captain America.
He was too green in the first one. He was too
even
too Boy Scout, too nice, too naive.
Even in the first Avengers movie, I didn't accept him as Captain America.
He was just your boy in blue still.
Yeah.
Then he got gritty.
Yeah.
When he got gritty and when he got some like
assertiveness.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I'm not fucking around anymore.
Yeah.
That side when he was like, okay, like the traumas kind of kicked in. Like you lost Bucky and then Bucky's back.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, people have lied to me. You brought me back, you kept me on ice for 7 years, and then you brought me back to lie to me? He started to get an edge.
Yeah.
Right? Because before it was, okay, take this little puny guy, turn him into a big, monster, send him out on the field, let's go kick some ass, and let's call it a day. And that was Captain America 1. It went from nothing to big shot to, here, go save the day. It was rushed.
Yeah.
It felt rushed. They introduced the Red Skull, and then wrapped him up in the same damn movie.
Yeah.
He's a character that should have spanned multiple.
Yes, he should have.
He should still be here today to cause a thorn in our side for different things.
Technically, he is sort of.
Sort of.
He was in the Endgame.
He's in a ghost phase shifted otherworld planet.
Yeah.
As a gatekeeper.
Yeah, but he still exists, which means there's a possibility of bringing him back.
Still exists, and we know Loki's trapped and lost in other timelines.
Yeah.
I like the fact that Red Skull is he's a placeholder.
Yes.
He's ahead of the table.
Yes.
And at that table sits many other henchmen and many other villains.
Yes.
That's why I like him as a key player, that he could even sit behind the screen, Wizard of Oz in it for all I care. Man behind the counter, man behind the curtain, throwing other guys at.
Yeah.
Because he's a shot caller.
Yeah.
He orchestrates these massive events and then hides in the shadows as they play out.
Yeah.
And that's good.
But the point I was making is that, like I said, I wasn't sold on Chris Evans being Captain America. I'm still not sold on Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. I'm hoping that by the next... So it's been 2 movies. I'm hoping by the next time we see Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, she will feel like it belongs in those boots more.
I think you just nailed the word belongs.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like they forced her.
Yeah.
She feels forced.
Yes, she does.
Like, here's another character, take it, add it to the team. We don't really want her.
Yeah. And the movie itself, like, I enjoyed the movie.
But great.
It didn't stand out. It was just very formulaic to the Disney Marvel formula. It followed everything beat by beat. If anything, it was just trying to be another Guardians of the Galaxy, but just with one character. Which, one thing I forgot to mention, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, does end up joining the Guardians of the Galaxy at one point as well.
So that'll be a probably her 4th or 5th movie down the line. Because,
or maybe they'll just reference it because right now Thor is joining the event.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We already know what's happening for the next Guardians movie. That'll be Thor based.
Yes,
Love and Thunder.
They'll be as Guardians of the Galaxy.
As Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know what they're going to do with Brie Larson's Carol Danvers. Like I said, she felt forced.
Yes.
As I saw her in Endgame, I liked her more.
Yeah. A little bit more.
It was still a character that they're trying to shove down my throat.
Yes.
Make me like her better. Make me accept her.
Yes.
Like, it took 3 fucking movies of Thor. Like, in the first Thor movie, Thor's kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
He became Thor by the end, but he was not Thor through the first movie.
No.
Right? In the second movie of Thor, he became Thor.
Yeah.
More so.
More so, that was a very forgettable movie, to be honest.
I just like that they showed Loki's heritage. They showed more of the heritage of Asgard. They showed more Asgardian shit in 2. In the first one, it was all Earth-based.
Yes.
It was all, this is it.
Yeah.
This is Thor. It was underwhelming.
Yes.
Just like the first Cap was underwhelming. The first Iron Man was not.
No.
I love the first Iron Man. I'm a diehard Iron Man fan.
Yeah.
I think that was the best of the franchise. Yes. Hands down. Captain America, like we said, slow burn.
Yes.
My favorite part of that was that we got to see the Red Skull.
Yeah.
Like, it took time to build on these characters. Whereas her first movie, I guess, is comparable to theirs.
Yeah.
So we'll give it time. We'll see what we get out of the next one because it's scheduled for what, next year or 2022?
I really have no idea.
We'll have to check with our lineup again there.
Yeah.
We don't have our man in the chair this week, unfortunately, so Kenny will be back next week when we have our Brainiac episode.
Yes.
Followed by Hulk if we do not enter in our House of M event prior to that. We might switch up the House of M Hulk episode for 2 weeks from now. So stay tuned for next week for updates on that.
Captain Marvel 2, release date 2022.
2022. So we still got almost 2 years for that.
Yeah.
So I'm in no real rush. It'll come when it comes. We got a lot of big name movies before then, though.
Yes.
Like you said, Black Widow. We got another Guardians of the Galaxy. We have another Wonder Woman. We have another
Black Panther, Doctor Strange. The movie I'm most excited for right now, and it got pushed back because of coronavirus, is New Mutants.
It got pushed back again?
Yeah.
Oh, it was
it's still coming out this year. It's just that it got
November
delayed.
or something. December, yeah.
No, it's supposed to come out like next month.
And it got pushed to like November, December, I think.
I hope not that far back.
I think so.
I was hoping it was just like when I heard it got delayed. I was hoping it delayed by maybe a month or two, not 4 or 5 months.
A lot. Well, the same thing happened with the James Bond movie.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be coming out, I believe, in the next month or so. And again, November, December, they're pushing it because the plot of the James Bond movie is virus outbreak. So, needless to say, that's gonna plummet right now. Shit, why'd we do this movie? So. Yeah, I can see it's only logical to let's just wait.
Yeah.
No one's leaving their house. No one wants to go pack themselves into a little small dark room with people coughing and chewing popcorn for 2 hours or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Sitting elbow to elbow going, I hope you don't get it.
Yeah. Although right now a lot of people are quarantining themselves, so maybe now would be the best time to go watch movies. Unfortunately, there's nothing good to go fucking watch right now.
Yeah, a lot of seat selection.
Yeah,
now's the time.
Yeah, now's the time. If you like an empty theater, now's the time.
Now's the time.
But unfortunately, there's nothing good to see.
Yeah. So you got a couple comic books here, and these are all. Well, we got Miss Marvel. We got another Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
We got some Captain. We got her teamed up with the Avengers.
Yeah. So
do a little preview here.
Yeah. Some Miss Marvel comics here. Mostly from Civil War. This is the new Avengers. This is pretty much where almost right away after House of M. This is when Spider-Man joins the Avengers. And this is Captain Marvel. I think this is Felix Vel Captain Marvel. Because Marvel...
It was the first one.
And he died before I got into comics.
Right.
But when I started reading Captain Marvel, I was a fan of Captain Marvel. But for me, Captain Marvel was Vel, which is Captain Marvel's son.
Yep.
Who ends up going insane.
Yeah. But we'll cover more on those characters when, we can give them their due diligence and give them a proper, character discussion.
If you want to watch a good something good with Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, I should say, check out Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It's only 2 seasons. It's one of my favorite Marvel animated cartoons. They did it so well. And in there, Carol Danvers, she's a badass. They reveal in there that she's actually outranks Captain America, because Captain America is a captain, she's a colonel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In the army.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, she actually outranks Captain America.
I bet he doesn't like that.
Yeah, he's fine with that.
All right, I Cap.
Yeah.
Colonel.
And in there, she goes toe to toe with Hulk and Thor.
At once?
Not at once.
Different time.
Different times, though.
Yeah, they're heavy hitters.
Yeah, and she is equally as strong as them. So to give you an idea how powerful she is, although you got to see how powerful she was in Endgame. Like, she was a complete badass in Endgame.
Yeah. Well, that's binary level, though.
Yes. And one thing to be said is that she can still go binary in the comics, but she can re-tap into the white star, the white hole. She just needs to absorb enough energy to do so.
Oh, okay. So it's got to be a heavy-duty fight that she's just, like, nuking, absorbing energy to tap back in.
That's right.
Okay. Well, that's a good power, because when it's needed, it'll be there.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm okay with characters like that. I'm okay with scaling characters.
Yeah.
Because she definitely scales.
Yes.
Throughout her comic story arcs and even in the movies.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
A character that scales to the need at hand is a good character.
As long as it's done right.
Yes. Yes.
Then you have instances like Solomon Grundy, who, when he's in a Batman comic, goes toe-to-toe with Batman, but when he's in a Superman comic, he goes toe-to-toe with Superman. So how does he go to toe-to-toe with both? If he is strong enough to hurt Superman, why
is he pulling punches with Batman?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So, scalability is good when it's done right.
Solomon. Alright, well I think that's all we got with Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Tune in next week for Brainiac.